Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for the day, which you guys can go check those out. I did full Q&As. They're well over 30 minutes of Q&As today. Go check it out. But now it's time for current events in the online fitness community. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and you know, I just saw something yesterday I thought I would talk about. And I know some of you guys out there who are still in your first year in the gym, you're going to get upset because you're going to feel bad. You're going to feel really bad about yourselves because, like I said, I'll link it below. The IPF just had a girl, and I do mean a girl, 14-year-old girl, deadlift over 300 pounds, 147.5 kilos while weighing 47 kilos. Now, let me just grab my calculator real quick, because we already know that's over 3 times her body weight, but she weighs 47 kilos. That's 103.6 pounds. We'll round it up to 104 pounds, right? 104, 14 years old, 147.5 kilogram deadlift. That's 325 pounds, over 3 times her body weight. Now, there's a bunch of guys out there who are like, I can't deadlift 325 pounds. Yeah, I know. But we're going to get to that in a minute. Now, some people are going to say, but Jason, you know, first of all, the IPF, yeah, okay, they're drug tested. We know that, but they're not really clean. I agree. There's a ton of people in the IPF who use drugs. Drug testing doesn't stop people who really want to cheat. Doesn't stop anyone who's determined to cheat. It does not, cannot, will not, never will. But this 14-year-old girl isn't looking too virilized to me. If she is cheating and using anything, it's not much. And here's the thing. She probably still has a lower testosterone level than an 18-year-old boy, even if she is using something. All right, so even if you throw that out there, this is basically a 100-pound girl lifting 325 pounds on the deadlift. Now, I get a lot of people who tell me that my strength standards that I put out are unrealistic, that I expect healthy 18 or 25-year-old men to run either one of my main novice programs, either one, that I expect them to be deadlifting at least 405 by the end of the first year, even if they're a gym nude. Guys are like, well, you know, that's asking too much. I think that's a lot. That's your standards are unrealistic. No, I really don't think that they are. I don't think that they are. Mainly because I've seen plenty of guys blow it out of the water. The best I've seen so far, one guy run my novice program and at the end of the year hit a 455 for 5 reps. Okay? And without drugs. Alright? Perspective. But here we have a 14-year-old girl. Alright? You know she hasn't been lifting that many years. Alright? If she's 14, she hasn't been lifting heavy very long. Couple years, I don't know. I don't know what her training history is. But she hasn't been lifting heavy very long. She certainly hasn't benefited from much in the way of male hormones. Alright, she's not very big. She's 103 pounds. Now, if she can do that, then I expect any healthy young man who's weighing 160 or 180 pounds to blow that out of the water. They should be able to beat her. And I don't care that she's single ply or using a belt or using sumo. Yeah, that does help. And I will admit, I messed around with single ply lifting for a little while. I did it on camera. And the first day I put on a single ply wide stance squat suit, I went to deadlift in it. I tried a sumo deadlift, which I didn't normally do. Had never worn a suit before, a deadlift suit or a squat suit. And I added 30 pounds easily over my conventional normal training maxes. So I pulled 30 pounds more than I was pulling regularly for heavy singles in the gym all the time. Added 30 pounds to it. I ramped up and I kept adding weight. I'm like, well, I'm still doing this. And I stopped at 30 pounds over that. I'm like, okay, that's enough. That's enough. My grip or something's going to give out. I'm going to back down before I hurt myself. But yeah, I mean, I got 30 pounds out of it. But the difference is we're talking about something well beyond what she's lifting. So, okay, maybe she's getting 20 pounds out of it. That's still over 300 pounds. Again, you see this happen, and we can talk about genetics, we can talk about muscle fiber distribution, leverages, everything else. But the fact of the matter is, a 103-pound teenage girl, 14-year-old girl who hasn't been training that long, shouldn't be as strong as healthy young men. So I don't want to hear these excuses that guys give who say, well, you know, I think your standards are too strict. My standards only expect you to pull 80 pounds more than she does. I tell guys I think they should be pulling 405 at the end of the first year of either one of my programs, whether it's my novice 5x5 or my linear hypertrophy. And I don't think that's unrealistic, guys, if you followed the program correctly. Because you figure this teenage girl, 103 pounds, she probably only has a couple years under her belt. She doesn't have anywhere near the muscle mass you're going to have as a healthy young man who's been lifting a year. She's going to be nowhere near. So I don't care what leverage is or muscle fiber distribution she has. That's only going to get you so much. And if you've been deadlifting for a year and doing accessory work for it, rows, squats, all that stuff, there's no excuse for that. I think that's reasonable. And this kind of highlights my point of that. That really highlights the point I always make about that these standards aren't unrealistic if you guys follow a well-written program and you eat properly and sleep enough. It's not unrealistic. And here's the other thing. You know, I'm saying all this, talking about this aspect of it, and I don't want to detract from what this young woman has done, because truth be told, this is pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. And it also goes to show us that this is what people are capable of when they come in and really train hard. I mean, we don't know. Maybe she has fantastic genetics. She probably does. But the field is very, very small in women's powerlifting. Okay, it is not a big field. There are plenty of women who come in who aren't really that strong, who set world records and things for their class, mainly because they don't have that many competition. There might be, I don't know, 5 other women in the whole world they're competing with for their age and weight range. All right, so that being said, she probably is competing in a pretty small field, so maybe she doesn't have elite genetics, and that's the thing you have to figure. Because when you see people with elite genetics, they do stuff that no one else can touch. You take someone like Jesse Norris, all right, his deadlift world record for drug tested, I think, is higher than some other heavier weight classes in both tested and untested. Like, so him in the 198 was destroying what people are doing at the world level, a weight class heavier. That's elite genetics. Okay, that's elite genetics. Go look at what some of these Russian lifters are lifting. All right, there's some elite genetics. A lot of your top power lifters who maybe even hold a national record might not actually have that elite of a genetics. It's not that big of a sport, and there's so many different classes that you'd be really surprised. You'd be really surprised how easy it is in some cases for everyone who shows up at a meet sometimes to all win their class. If only 30 people show up to a meet. It's been known to happen because there's so many different weight classes and stuff. But that aside, all right, over 3 times her body weight as a 14-year-old girl, pretty impressive. She's probably got some really good coaching going on there. Probably pretty decent genetics. Overall, pretty impressive. I don't want to detract from what she's doing with all those statements, but I do want to come back to the point that I always like to make, that people need to understand that if you actually apply yourself to strength training, you're going to be surprised what you're actually capable of. All right, because this is what this young girl is capable of. Pretty impressive, isn't it? Especially when we get guys who've been training 6 months or 9 months who still can't pull this off, who have male level testosterone, sometimes weighing 160, 170 pounds, have been training 6 months, 9 months, sometimes a year, and they still can't do this. We see them all the time. We see them at gyms all the time. You know, yet she pulled it off. So you've got to step back and ask, well, you guys have every advantage in the world over her. You started with more muscle mass on your body than she probably has currently while pulling that. You got higher testosterone levels. What could you accomplish if you actually applied yourself and got on a decent training program for actual strength? You'd be surprised what you could accomplish. It would probably be a lot more than you think. And I've seen that happen many times. I've seen guys who have you know, the fuck around-itis that Martin Burkham talked about, and they don't train correctly. They don't train for strength because they don't understand you can't separate strength and size training for the most part for drug-free lifters. You really can't. You're going to get bigger as you get stronger. You're going to get stronger as you get bigger. You know, they come in and they goof off, and then they have no strength, and then they'll see some guy even deadlift 405 and think, wow, that's really impressive. You'll see that at commercial gyms. You see these guys and they never apply themselves. But then when they go on a good program, what ends up happening? they end up having a 450 or 500 pound deadlift after a couple years. And we've all seen it happen. We've all seen it happen. If people actually apply themselves, you'd be surprised what you're capable of achieving. It's what a lot of guys fail to achieve in the gym is because they don't apply themselves. And if you think that you've been applying yourself and you're a healthy young man and you've been in the gym 9 months and you're not pulling more than this 325, it might be time to step back and reassess, because this is what happens when a 14-year-old girl who weighs 103 pounds absolutely applies herself, gets on a proper program, gets some proper training. That's what she's capable of doing. What more would you be capable of doing with all these muscle mass and hormonal advantages over her? A lot more. Just have to apply yourself. You've got to get on some proper training, guys. It's as simple as that. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.